Alright, welcome back. This is M-Dog, another video about Yama River, our newest map here in Russian Fishing 4. Level 32, mostly spinning. This is 172.10. This is actually a spot that a lot of people spin fish from, and I have some as well. It's a nice little spot. However, I actually have a little spot over there where you can see my spinning rods. I actually like that little place a little better than this one, although it's worth trying both, to be fair. We do have a little feeder set up here with size 8 hooks. 6 would be fine as well, night crawlers. We're just trying to catch the occasional one of these. Long-nosed sucker, kind of just for fun. So I don't think they're really worth anything. Occasionally you see the cafe orders, but once it gets to be nighttime, mostly what you're going to see here is burbot. But during the day, you do occasionally get a sucker. It's not often enough to really bother you, but every once in a while it's fun to go see what size it is. What I really want to talk to you about here is what has been a fun little technique for me. I want to describe it, show it in action. Hopefully we'll catch a couple fish for you. If you're like me, most of your time in RF4 has been either fishing with carp or feeder rods or picker rods, something with bottom fishing, right? With a little bit of float fishing and a little bit of spin fishing. Most of the spin fishing I've done has been through trolling, right? Except for back in the day, we used to spend more time anchored down in boats and spin fishing certain spots and fishing from shore, even like at Corey, especially spin fishing from shore used to just be the way to go. It was awesome. And being here at Yama has kind of brought me back to those times. However, sometimes I feel like just holding one rod and casting it out there like we'll do now and doing a little spin fishing. Sometimes I'm like in that mood. Really try to get dialed in, maybe figure out how do I get a jig step here. Which actually in this spot, it's pretty hard to get a consistent jig step. You might have a better jig step rate if you just go like real fast reels, short little shift 50 or something. However, I'm not always in the mood to just hold one rod and spin fish. Sometimes I want to spin fish with 2 rods. In fact, some people are even doing it with 3. By the way, that's a nice little dolly there. We will take that. Some people are even doing this with 3. I haven't even tried 3 yet. 2 feels about right for me. And I don't mind having that one feeder rod in to be doing something. Catching bait fish, fishing with bait fish, catching suckers, whatever. Okay, so the idea here behind using 2 or more spinning rods is that so many of the bites, like that one you just saw there, is actually happening as the spoon is dropping in the water. Some bites you'll get when you're actually retrieving it, but a lot of times you'll get it on the paws, right? And because that's the case, and because the fish seem to still be biting whether or not you have an actual retrieval method going, we can cast both of these out. I'm going to do, we'll go like 37. Now let's stick at 35 on this one, and then this is a bait casting setup, so we'll do a little faster. We'll go 38 on this one. And just to show you what we're using, 19 liter on this guy, Vico 10, which, look, there's about 100 lures you can use here. This one we're using the Satori 03, which is one of the like early leaders of the pack in terms of lures that's working really well. And the whole reason why I'm using this right now with a slightly larger than normal hook is because all over in this area, sometimes the king salmon are hooking up. So we got a little bigger leader, hopefully a king salmon lure, and that's the whole approach. But with using 2 spinning rods at 165, 214, again, here on the map, I am casting in a slightly east of north direction at that patch of grass right there. What we're going to do is we're going to let both of them sit out there, and we're going to go back and forth, reeling for about 3 rotations, and then letting it drop back in the water in the current. And a lot of times you'll get a bite on one or sometimes even both rods, and then you have to decide risk reward. Do I take a chance, try to get them both in, or does one of the fish feel better than the other? we want to kind of cast them at about the same distance. So that means on this spinning setup, we're going to go 90% cast. Casting setup, we'll go 50. Always close the bail. I think you get less bites if you leave the bail open, at least for me, that's the case. And then again, like I said, now we're going 3 rotations on each. Very similar speeds. The lures are in similar locations. And there's our first fish. Now this is a small fish, so we're going to keep this one going a little bit. Is it possible that we're going to lose this fish because we're not keeping constant tension on it or whatever? Yeah, that's absolutely possible. But unless this is like one of those rare char or something, this is such a small fish, it doesn't really matter. So I take a chance sometimes and keep them both going. We're close enough now, let's just pop it in. This is much more often the case. It's going to be a small chum like that. So at this point, I would say it probably is worth it. Let's just focus on this one for a minute, see if we can't get a second bite. It's getting a little close to us to get a second one, but we did get jig step there for a minute. It's hard to keep it in this position, but on the Vicos especially, it's a little easier. We were talking about this in stream. Somebody was sharing with us that on the Vicos, they can get jig steps more consistently than some of the other spoons. And so far for me, I think that's probably true. I haven't tested all the different varieties, but usually hunters are pretty reliable on jig steps too. But the Satori, I'm definitely not getting jig step as often. And using this method, I don't even care. I don't necessarily think getting jig step is that important when we've got 2 different spoons in the water. And with the current bite rate on these spoons, we should be fine without it. So again, just as efficiently as possible, we're going to try to go from one cast to the next. Already a fish on this Satori, and you can see why this Satori has quickly become tops on the leaderboard for many of the fish species, although not all of them. Especially the chum. I mean, you can just catch chum all day long on this Satori, but thankfully you will occasionally hook into something else, and those something else is what you're looking for, because chums are not worth much, silver or XP. The only redeeming factor of the chum is that, well, it keeps your sanity because you're catching fish, and it also has some really nice and frequent cafe orders. So is that 2 fish in a row where we've gotten a fish on the Satori and didn't get one on this Vico? I think that's the case. So let's switch the Vico. Let's don't be crazy. Now this Vico is good, and at some points I've been catching really nice fish on it, but right now might not be the time. It's raining, temperature's a little different. This just might not be the time for this lure. It's overcast, cloudy. We probably want to be thinking a little bit darker, so let's go with the Hunter 2. Let's see if the Hunter 2 might not... It won't keep up with the Satori. But let's see if it at least catches a fish now and again to justify using 2 rods instead of 1. Alright, we've got them in. They're close to the same spot, and now we start the fun. During the stream, we've been having lure battles. Doing this method, we can just pair 2 lures against each other, do 2 out of 3, see who catches the fish first, and I'm glad to say that at least this time, something other than the Satori looks like it has hooked up first. We do have a fish on the Hunter. Let's see what we've got here. It's small, so we're going to keep this Satori going. Maybe we'll get 2 fish. 1 fish, 2 fish. It's close enough now, we just focus. I think that is a sockeye, which is a great result. It's on the small side. Still worth more XP than your average chum is, though. Even at a marker size for the chum, the sockeye at non-marker is better. Small dolly. Let's keep it going. So I guess I'm not necessarily even saying that you're going to have better results doing this than just fishing with 1 and focusing on getting the best jig step you can. But this is just another option, and for me this has been very fun. It's added like another level of fun to the new place for me. It's made spin fishing a little less monotonous. I'm able to change lures more often, do some weird comparisons between different lures. Mostly with this, I would say you want to use spoons. You can do it with spinner baits, but I really like the bite rate on the spoons. And there's the Satori coming through for us again. Now, one thing that has also been fun, and I will show you this now. We'll see if we get a fish here just for a second. If we don't, then I'm going to switch it out. Oh, there you go. And that's why it's worth, at least while it's still pretty far out there, go ahead and give that second lure a chance. That's your time to like focus, like, okay, I'm just using one lure here. Let's see how it does. And it actually did pretty good there. So now, instead of the Evora as our second one, we're going to throw in a match rod. Now, we talked about before this place came out how good the Cibarillo might be. And it actually has proven to be pretty good. I think it's been overshadowed some by just how good regular casting setups has been because of the Satori, and also how good ultralight has been. Because really, if you haven't experienced ultralight here, it is a blast. And I'm hoping that my next video we can maybe focus a little bit on ultralight, maybe even from this same spot. There's a lot of good spots like this one. This is just the spot that I kind of like right now, so that's why I'm fishing here. But you can do this technique at any spot, so don't feel like you're locked in here. All right, so we're gonna do the same thing. 35, cast it at about the same spot, and so now we're using a spoon, but it's an ultralight spoon, and it's on a Cibarillo. And it can do really well in this spot as well at times. We'll see if this is one of those times. I like doing this because now when we catch a fish on this rod, the match rod with the Cibarillo, we have a chance of getting points in float fishing. All right, is this an okay fish? It's all right, but it's worth keeping this going, I think. But that little lure we're using, and I'll show you real quick what lure it is. It likes to just drift in the current. We're getting a lot of bites on that when it's just drifting in the current. So let's see if we can do something with this real quick. Again, the rain and everything. This might not be the perfect time for this lure, but I did want to show you the Cibarillo we're using. Let's also check and see which Cibarillo float we have on there. With the spoon, we do want sinking, and we have float on, so I always have to look at that. Let's go 30 sinking. We'll see if that makes it any better. But we're using this Volkov Type 1. A lot of the Volkov lures, the small little ultralight lures, really good here. So if you haven't already, it's worth trying those, both on ultralight or on Cibarillo if you have that unlocked. So now we have the right Cibarillo on there to let that spoon sink down to the bottom a little bit. Let's see if that makes a difference. Slow sinking might even be better in this condition. We don't want it to like drop like a rock, but we do want it to be falling. I think this is the longest we've gone without a bite, isn't it? On any of our casts. You do occasionally completely strike out, but I'll tell you, in this spot, it's not that often. Especially when you're doing the like double full casting or spinning setups like we were at the beginning. 2 like regular size spoons. Well, I don't like our chances here. Both of these have gotten so far in, so close to us. It is starting to look like we're not going to have a fish on this one. All right, let's put the slow sinking 30 gram on, and let's change this up to actually really like this one too. It's even smaller, but I like it a lot. We could have a little better bite rate too on this Satori if we didn't have the larger hook on, but one of the reasons why I like this spot is it's one of a couple of spots that I know of where it feels like hooking into a king salmon is a legitimate option. So There we go. That's what we want to see. 2 fish on. Man, and this one might be a good one too. Let's make sure this isn't a king. No, it's not. All right, let's get this one in. This is the better fish. So let's get this one in and hope we don't lose the other one so we can see both of them. Oh yeah, Dolly. All right, Dolly. Lesma, congrats on 25. And of course, our little chum friend. Woo. That was a fun bite. As soon as we picked that one up, or as soon as we finished the rotation, it just hit it. And I think what fishing with 2 rods here does to you is it really forces you to allow that spoon to drop back down. And again, I think that's what's really attracting so many of these the fish activity. So it's pretty cool. All right, just for fun, let's show you the other thing we can do here. Be a little brave. Yeah, I mean, I really like those. Let's show you the same one we were just using. See if we can get it to work a little better on ultralight. Alright, so we can also do this trick on ultralight. I think we want to go full cast on ultralight, probably. Yeah, it might have gone a little far for what we're doing. This can be such a good spot for ultralight as well. I think you're going to see a lot of people doing ultralight fishing here. Hopefully one day we'll be fly fishing here as well, but in the meantime, ultralight is just so much fun. This is a good example of that. Fortunately, I've not hooked into a king salmon on ultralight yet. Obviously, it is possible, but it doesn't seem to happen too often. So anything else is catchable on ultralight. It's just sometimes a really exciting fight. Any little fish feels much more significant here when you're catching it on ultralight. That wasn't even a marker, and it took us for a little bit of an adventure. And that whole time we did not get a sucker. I was hoping we were going to complete the circle and catch a sucker for you, but it did not happen. Alright, so I still think, I mean, the ultralight stuff is a lot of fun, like I said, but when you're doing this technique, it kind of just feels the best to me, or makes the most sense to, you know, have your full setups here. Oh, that's going to be way too far. We got casting back out. Let's do this one more time before we call it on this video. See if we can get one more fish in for you. Hunter versus Satori. It's a matchup that people will be talking about for ages. All the Satoris working really well. Same with the Hunters. Hunter 1 doing some work. I think we're going to have fish on both again. Let's see if we can get this in so fast that we don't lose the second one. Did it escape? Nah, we got it. Even amidst the rain and the overcast weather, still catching some fish here. Not necessarily the best fish, but oh wait. Is that a... Yeah, you love to see that. Even though it wasn't quite marker. Always fun to get the rainbow trout. They do come out here pretty nice at times. That one was on ultralight. So anyway, there you go. Having fun at Yama. Hopefully this has been helpful. Let me know if you give it a try, or maybe you already are fishing with more than one spinning rod. Definitely keeps you on your toes and can be quite entertaining. Again, I'm not saying it's better than just using one. It's just another option, right? Okay, tight lines, everybody. Thanks for watching. I will see you next time.